Hey, this is a continuation of a video I put out a couple of days ago talking about the top rare champions in Raid Shadow Legends. Let's go! So a couple of days ago, I released a video about the top 10 rare champions in Raid Shadow Legends in my opinion. In this video, I will list down 20 more rare champions that I think are worth building, especially if you are in the early game. So this video is really for those beginner or newer players in Raid Shadow Legends. So if you have been playing this game for a few months, you may not want to build some of these champions depending on which epics or legendary champions you have on your roster. I will also be speed running through this list to keep it short and sweet. Let's go! Alright, first up is Elhain. You can pick her as your starter champion and she does not need any accuracy because she does not have any debuffs in her kit, but she does have double AoE attacks, one in her A2 and one in her A3, the only starter champion to have two AoE attacks. Next up is Reliquary Tender. She has a revive on her A3, single target on a 5-turn cooldown, plus she has a full team cleanse plus continuous heals on her A2 on a very short 3-turn cooldown, one of the best rare support champions in the game. Next up is Aethel. You can also pick her as your starter champion. She has a triple hit A1, which is great for the Fire Knight. She can also buff herself and do a huge AoE hit in the same turn. Next is Mother Superior. She is a very good healer in the early game. She has heals on her A2 and heals on her A3. The A2 is a single target heal. The A3 is a full team heal. And any surplus heal on her A2 or her A3 will turn into a shield. Plus she has a decreased attack on her A1 and a very flexible and useful speed aura in all battles by 13%. Next is Draconis. He has a full team shield on his A2 on a 3-turn cooldown. He can do the shield for 2 turns. Very useful for the Scarab boss in the Doom Tower. Next up is the Ogryn Jailer. If you're having difficulty farming magic potions in the Magic Keep, then you might want to build up this guy because he removes buffs on his A1 and he steals buffs on his A2. Both the A1 and the A2 are very good for removing the shield from the Magic Keep boss. Also, he is a very good single target damage dealer. Next is Bogwalker. This champion will keep you alive in the clan boss or in dungeons. He has a decreased attack on his A1, which is great for the clan boss, and he has an increased defense for your entire team on his A2, which keeps you alive in the clan boss and in dungeons. Next is Metal Shaper, another champion that is great against the Scarab King in the Doom Tower because he has an A2 that places a shield on all allies for 2 turns on a 2-turn cooldown when booked. Next up is Haruspex. This guy is great for early game arena because he can fill your turn meter and increase speed for all allies in his A2. Plus, he has a 15% speed aura for arena and he can also revive similar to Reliquary Tender. Next up is Fleshmonger. He can buff himself on his A2 with increased attack and increased crit rate, and then immediately go into his AoE, decreased defense, although this is only on a 75%, lower than War Maiden, but he has a triple hit A1 which makes him useful for the Fire Knight. Next up is Gnarlhorn. This guy is known for his A2 100% chance to land an AoE provoke on the enemy. This guy can lock down an entire enemy team assuming he is fast enough and that he has enough accuracy to land that provoke. Next up is Galek, one of the 4 starter champions. He is very popular among newer players because, well, he is an orc and he looks cool. He is quite useful for the Fire Knight because he does have a double hit A1 and a 4-hitter A3 that also lands decreased defense, and his A2 also hits hard. It's an AoE hit and he also buffs his own speed. Next up is Fellhound. This guy can be the fastest campaign farmer in the entire game with his AoE A1 and of course assuming you put him in the correct gear, and he is also very useful for early game Fire Knight because of this 2-turn reflect damage on a 2-turn cooldown. Next is Mystic Hand, another good counter for the Magic Keep boss because he places block buffs on his A1 and he steals 2 random buffs on his A2. Next up is Spiritos. I believe you can still get her as a guaranteed free rare champion very early in the game. She does have a nice speed aura, 10% in all battles, and she can buff your entire team's attack, and she can also remove all debuffs on your entire team. Next up is Coffin Smasher, one of my favorite rare champions to go against a clan boss. He does have a triple hit A1 that places decreased attack. This pairs well with the Giant Slayer Mastery, and he does have an HP burn on his A2 and a passive that decreases AoE damage by 5%. All three skills are great for the clan boss. Plus, he is also an HP based champion. His damage scales off of HP, which makes him very tanky for the clan boss. Speaking of the clan boss, this guy is great there as well. This is Avir, the Alchemage. He has poisons on his A1, which is of course great for the clan boss. He does have a turn meter fill and heals on his A3 and an AoE decrease attack with decreased speed on his A2. Decreased speed, of course, cannot be applied on the clan boss, but is great in so many different areas of the game. Next up is Master Butcher. This guy is great against Baumel the Dreadhorn in the Doom Tower because he does have this nice passive. When attack, heals all allies equal to the amount of damage taken. And you might notice that this does not work against bosses, but we are referring to the Dread Bombs. When those explode, he will make the corresponding heal and keep your entire team alive longer. Next is Dilgol. This guy places so many debuffs as a rare champion. He places decreased speed on his A1, decreased defense on his A3, and decreased accuracy on an AoE hit on his A2. And last but not least, we have Bulwark. This guy is amazing for early game clan boss. He does have a debuff extender on his passive. When attack has a 30% chance of extending the duration of every single debuff on the attacker by 1 turn. Also places weaken on his A1, HP burn on his A2, and increases ally defense in all battles by 17%, which is of course amazing. All 4 skills are great for the clan boss. And there you go, 20 more rare champions that I think are worth building, especially in the early game. If you want to see my top 10 rare champions video, I'll just put a link up right there in the upper right hand corner. And of course, these are the champions that helped me in my first few months in Raid, and I hope that they can help you out as well. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you found this useful, and I'll see you guys in my next video.